Immortal John Hancock here, back from New York. I had a great time at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo this year. First time to New York, and it was a great show. I have some awesome things to talk about, pickups, as well as show you some footage from the show and some highlights that I had. So first off, I'm going to talk about some pickups, some people I met. I got to run into RGT85, Spawnwave, the 8-bit guy, and they were all wonderful people in person. They were speaking as well, and I got to mingle with someone who got me into collecting, Leonard Herman, who wrote Phoenix 4, the book I talk about, the book that I talk about video game history. Definitely should pick it up. And so I'm here to talk about my pickups, show kind of the weird stuff that I collect. Now, a lot of other people, you know, they go after Atari, Sega, Nintendo, and I'm still looking for stuff out there, but I want people to know I don't have everything. There's always stuff I'm looking for. A lot of people ask for like lists. I can provide some lists for people if needed, and you know, I'm always looking for things. There's many things out there I don't have. A lot of people, well, don't you have everything? Far from it. And so I'm going to show you some of the strange things that I'm currently going after, as well as tell you a sad story about something I wanted at the show, and I wasn't able to work out a deal. So this is half of the things that I got. I have another box coming because it was hard to put on a plane, and so I have some cool, really oddball stuff coming, and that will be in a separate video. So here we go. I scored a wide variety of things, and I got a couple things before the show. A huge shout out and a thank you to Bill Lockney. And so I've gotten his name wrong in the past. I didn't know how to pronounce it because I finally met him in person. And Bill's been a huge contributor to this channel. He's definitely donated some wonderful things, and I've done some videos about that. And he pretty much recently donated to me two things that are really, really special and cool. It was a homebrew release for Vectrex, and that's Release, and it's numbered. And this is available at Packrat Video Games. I've talked about them on my channel before, and it's really neat. It's all these. What's cool about the Vectrex releases they do, sometimes I do these number releases, which means they just make them one at a time and they number them. This is number 26, and I'd like to do maybe a video of this in the future. It's hard. I have all these ideas for videos, and that's kind of a neat oddball item. And all the things I'm showing here in this video, pretty oddball. So that was pretty sweet. Also, Bill donated Frogger on cassette tape for the 8-bit computer. Now, there's a lot of different versions of Frogger out there, and this is a really strange one. And I've never played it. I don't know the differences between the cartridge version and this version. And it's neat. I have the ones for the 2600, the official cartridge, and the cassette, the Starpath Supercharger version. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see the differences here. Another donation is Missile Attack. I got this given to me at the show, and this is a TRS-80 game, and it's sealed. And I want to say thank you for the donation. I had a list of some of the cards for like where things came from, and unfortunately it got shuffled on my way back. You know, flying back, it was like a 4-hour delay. It was pretty stressful, but I'm back and I'm tired, but I definitely want to talk about the show. So, all right, couple box upgrades, and so I did get a War Games for my ColecoVision, and my cartridge and manual were in better shape. And War Games, kind of a, I'd say, uncommon game for ColecoVision. There was a ton of stuff there, wide variety of product. It was really neat to see and talk to vendors, especially new vendors that I haven't interacted with. So there was a lot of great deals, and it was weird going across the United States and having a bunch of people come up to me and say, hey, I love your channel, love your videos. Like, my wife would talk, they knew who she was. It's still like, to me, that like kind of blows my mind. And so it's like, it was really a great experience and a great show. All right, next up. There was a vendor there, and they were selling, and I think it's Glossed Over is the vendor, and they were selling pretty much ads from magazines that they laminated. And I thought that was a cool idea, and so I I picked out, they picked out some ones that they knew that I was a fan of. Kickmaster for Nintendo, one of my favorite Nintendo games. I beat this with my good friend Jonathan Rose. So they had these these laminated sheets that they were selling. Berserk, one of my favorite Atari 2600 games of all time. Oregon Trail. And then Streets of Rage 3 and Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins as well. Very cool. Also, I got to do a panel with my great friend Leonard Herman, and that was just a highlight of the show, talking with him and having some quality time to just chat with someone who got me into video games. So it was, you know, if you've ever had a chance to meet kind of your mentor, it was wonderful. So having some quality time with him, and it was a real privilege. So yeah, it was cool. So he was selling his book as well as some extra copies that were video games in the beginning. And so this was not written by him, but he knew the publisher, and it was really neat to see this and to pick it up and talk to Leonard, and it was really cool. So I was really happy that happened. All right, next up, more weird stuff. So there was a lot of product ranging from Atari to, you know, Wii U, and there was a lot of stuff in between. I'm looking for the older stuff, and so I'm looking for the stuff that, you know, soon is going to be harder or impossible to find. That's really what I'm pursuing. And one vendor had a loose copy of Cosmic Swarm, and it was in better shape than mine. And this is a strange shaped Atari cartridge. It's longer, and it's pretty uncommon to find. He had a decent price on it. I picked it up. The same vendor had a Donkey Kong for the Atom computer, and he had it, and he knew I was looking for it. Honestly speaking, I think that he thought it was worth more. We couldn't negotiate a deal, and unfortunately that fell through. So I'm still looking for Donkey Kong on the Atom computer. Cassette's fine, doesn't have to be complete because the packaging for that does make the game expensive. But I am looking for that for a future video. So if anybody has that, I am looking for it. So yeah, it's, you know, sometimes you work out a deal and sometimes you don't. But hey, I got Cosmic Swarm, got an upgrade to my 2600 game, so that's great. Another vendor had some uncommon games. I was able to get pretty much several upgrades to some of my games for Coleco and Atari for $1. And some of the games they had Pit Stop, and they just had it out there on the floor for $1. I mean, I think Pit Stop is an uncommon ColecoVision game. For the ColecoVision, I also got a clean copy of Time Pilot, and it was a lot better shape than mine. And so I like that game, and it was great to get those upgrades. There were some other uncommon variations. There's a Sears Telegames Defender that I got, as well as Hangman Pitcher. And so yeah, it was neat to pick some of that stuff up. Great to see at the show. Alright, next up, this vendor, oh my gosh, had amazing stuff. I could have spent hundreds of dollars at their table. I had a budget like everybody else. And so I was able to work out some deals with them. Thank you so much. Star Wars Rebel Assault Complete, and it has the catalog inside. If people are wondering what the catalog, there's a catalog here, and it's the Adventurer, and it's nice to have that. Rebel Assault Complete. I just had a loose copy of the game. This is something that I want to play. It's such a fascinating game in itself. Yes, it's full motion video, but to me, like, if you're gonna get a full motion video, combine it with Star Wars, right? And so I'm fascinated with some of that stuff. I'm looking for 3DO games. A list is below of kind of what I'm missing. That's definitely something I'm looking for. I'm looking for the strange stuff. So I'm pretty much going to list like a few things that I'm looking for and provide people with information. So definitely what I was missing. Going to go after more 3DO stuff I don't have. It's hard to find. There was some decent stuff there. One vendor had a ton of stuff. I prefer to get it complete just because that way I'm not having to pursue stuff over and over again. Same vendor had this. This is a real special thing that I'm glad is finally in my collection. So not only did they have Desert Strike for the Lynx, but they had a sealed copy with a Toys R Us sticker on it. And so they still make this game. It's available overseas. Telegames USA is no more, but the Telegames is still around. They make their games. The copies they make now are different than the original version, and I'm really happy to have the original version. I'm missing several Lynx games, and so this is one that's going to be in my collection, and this is a pretty hard one to get for the Lynx. I was able to work out a very reasonable deal, and thank you so much. All right, next up, probably the bigger things that I scored. I scored two things that are very hard to get. And so one thing to note is, even though I have things on my mind that I collect, I don't always like have an agenda when I go to a show or an expo. I kind of look around, and sometimes I'll wait to see something and determine whether or not, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they have this. So there was an older gentleman in the far corner back of the show, and he had some amazing product. He had box Game & Watch stuff. He had a box Pong that I didn't have, that I actually didn't end up getting because of shipping. And so I looked at his table, and I looked, and I kept looking, and I had to debate, oh, can I get this? Should I get this? And he had some amazing stuff just out on the floor forever. And I waited to the second day to get this item. And this is very rare. And so Atom Computer Games is kind of what I'm into right now. And because I don't have a lot of them, I don't have a lot of the games. And so he had an Atom data pack version of Mountain King. Now this is different than the actual release. And the story behind this is that he got this game from a reviewer back in the day who did reviews of games. And so this one is like, it's just got like Mountain King taped on it. And this is pretty hard to get. So even getting just, it's a standard Mountain King box with that sticker. And I'm going to be looking to see if this has any differences from the original Mountain King that was offered on ColecoVision. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to have this in my collection. It sat, you know, because I think a lot of people would pick it up and then see the tape and be like, eh. Cassette tapes, you know, sometimes a lot of people don't collect those. And so I'm really fascinated because there's a lot of games on cassette tape that aren't archived or shown. And so I'm always looking for that stuff that's just harder to find. And so, yeah, Mountain King for the Atom Computer, definitely really hard to get. Here it is. But they had another game, and when I saw this game, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they have this. And so a lot of people overlook things that they're not into. I did a speech on it, talking about how it's important to educate yourself with Leonard Herman on what's out there. And there's a game there I can't believe was there, and just hanging out in a box, just chilling. And for Coleco fans, you're gonna know this. For everybody else, you're gonna be like, what's that? So it's Tournament Tennis by Magic, and so this is incredibly hard to find for ColecoVision, and it's considered an R10. It's complete. It's in really good shape. It's a clamshell. Magic made 6 games for the ColecoVision. They're all fairly hard to get. The cartridge is in really good shape. And it came with the manual and warranty card. Manual is a little bit beat up, but I'm honored to have this in my collection, and with the warranty card. And it is just, it's amazing that I found this for, you know, I think you wanted $22. Kept the sticker on it. So an incredibly hard game to find. It's just one of those things. Like, I did see some decent ColecoVision stuff at the show, and, you know, again, I'm pursuing some of the older stuff just because, you know, there's a ton of stuff made for GameCube and Xbox, and there's nothing against collecting those high-end collectibles and current stuff, but, you know, the older stuff is getting kind of forgotten, so I'm pursuing that stuff, and that's the stuff I'm missing. You know, I'm missing a lot of boxes for some of my harder-to-get ColecoVision stuff, and I was really excited, probably of everything at the show, getting this complete. I mean, this is a very hard to find. I've never seen it in person, and so yeah, it was great to get that. Would like to thank Ryan and crew for making a wonderful event, and my wife loved it too. It was cool seeing people from around the world who flew in just for this event, and it was wonderful. I had a great time had some great pickups, talked to some great people, and already talking about it next year. So thank you so much for people continuing to tune in as I march towards 70,000 subs. I'm having a blast doing videos, and I have many more planned, as well as another complete collection to announce. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you, and you take care.